What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, holding down analysisplayground.com. As we talk about the Lakers getting beat by the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers have been struggling this entire season. They finally got LeBron and AD healthy for a couple games in a row. Russell Westbrook started this game, which he didn't start last game because they decided to bench him. And they benched him in some fourth quarters. This game, the Lakers still looked confused for the most part, even defensively. And, they also looked as solid. They looked a little bit more sure of themselves this game, which hasn't really been the case. This team has been off and on and all over the place. Not only with lineups, but also how they play. AD didn't really have that dominant game, but he did give them the size. He did get some good rebounds. Same with LeBron. Um, Anthony Davis only ended up with 16 points and 7 rebounds and 4 assists and 3 blocks. Wasn't that force, like I'm saying, in that game. Wasn't dominant in the paint. They were short and small and unathletic at the center power forward position. AD just didn't dominate like we're accustomed to seeing him, prior to these last 2 seasons. But, it is what it is at this point. Stanley Johnson was solid. Wasn't crazy scoring the ball, which he's not really known as a scorer. But he did, play some solid switchable defense for the time he played. LeBron took a lot of threes, didn't make a lot of them. Also, wasn't his most efficient from the field as we used to seeing him at. But he still did finish with 15-8. 15 rebounds, 8 assists, and 26 points. LeBron has been on a tear, still showing that he's one of the best players in the world. Only problem is we're used to seeing LeBron put up these type of numbers, but he usually win a lot of games, and it's just been a complete opposite for LeBron. Putting up historic dominant numbers even at his advanced age at 37, but they just haven't been winning. The numbers have been there for LeBron. The wins, which is unusual, just haven't been there. Russ had a solid game. Like I said, he didn't get in the way. He didn't force it. He wasn't trying too hard. He wasn't too lackadaisical on defense. He also did only turn the ball over once this game. So Russ was in the way, taking a lot of tough shots, a lot of crazy shots. He looked a little smarter, a little under control. He wasn't really doing too much. He allowed AD to do his thing, LeBron to do his thing, and he even hit a three. He was wide open, didn't overthink it, didn't try to. I just set his feet and shot it. He actually made a wide open three. So, Westbrook has had some great to solid games this season, but he also just been on a terrible stretch. This also was just a good solid game for us. This was an under control Russ, which we're not used to seeing, compared to, how he's been in his entire career. But I liked it what I seen out of Russ. He looked it like he fit and really wasn't trying to do too much or, hide too much this game. And maybe that's a good sign going forward for him and the Lakers. Avery Bradley, I feel like he still was a good pickup for them because he doesn't really get in the way. He defends. He gets up in guys. He stay in front of guys, and he can hit threes and mid ranges. And he does play hard even on the glass. So I don't think he's an amazing player, but he's a good, solid player that doesn't need the ball and can defend and hit open shots. So I think he's important. Trevor Ariza didn't really make the shots. He missed a couple layups and the three that he had, missed both of his free throws, and basically had 0 points. They expected more out of Ariza. They thought he was going to be a big part of this team alongside Kendrick Nunn, but they just haven't been. Kendrick Nunn hasn't played the entire season, and Trevor Ariza looked a little washed. We felt like that before they got him. That's why I wasn't making a huge deal when they picked him up, and he still looked a little washed this season. Still can play, but not really a great defender, not the greatest shooter, and just, not really as enthused and switchable as he used to be. He still has the size, still has the length, still has the capability. He just don't seem like he's really, passionate and really putting in, the required intensity that's needed, especially for a team that needs it. He just doesn't have it anymore. But, it is what it is at this point. Malik Monk, he's a microwave, but he's been pretty solid, whether he started off the bench this season and he came off the bench this game. Didn't really shoot the ball amazing from three, but was 5 for 9. Tried to switch it up. Even tried some ball handling, which didn't really work out for him that much. But he did get to the basket, hit some shots. That's all that mattered. He came off the bench, produced, made some shots, gave him a little energy, gave him a little space, and that's what he's on his roster to do, nothing more, nothing less. And he was able to do that tonight. He did foul a little bit too much for 4 and 20 minutes, but Malik Monk never been a great defender, so it's not that terrible considering that he didn't foul out, I guess. And Austin Reeves, they really try to make it seem like he was the highlight of the game. 5 of 5 from the field, 13 points off the bench. Had 3 rebounds, had 2 assists. Also had 2 blocks and one was on Clay. Also made his only 3-point shot that he took, and this was solid. He only played 23 minutes, kept the Lakers going, helped them get a lead, and helped them ride. When it was a little cloggy, shots really wasn't falling. Reeves gave him a couple buckets to keep them, in the game and gave him a chance to really win the game because of the shots that he made in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, they lost anyway, but it is good to be able to have a guy that can come in and produce, and him and Malik Monk pretty much did that along with Taylor. Taylor is a big body, at his guard position, but he was 3 of 5 from three, hit some good ones. Also did get to the basket and did do some other things while also giving you 7 rebounds and 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and ultimately led all bench scores with 17 points. So Taylor really gave them that balance and that production that you want from them every night. When they held on to him, didn't want to trade him for Kyle Lowry, didn't want to trade him this trade deadline, they really thought Taylor can be something special, something good. Plus, he is part of the clutch team that LeBron and Rich Paul has built. And you just wish he would have, cashed in the NBA. They gave him chances to start. They gave him minutes. They gave him opportunities. He just hasn't took full advantage of it and really took over the NBA like they thought that he would. But this is a good game for him. The best player off the bench this game. But hopefully you can see a little bit more from him as they looked at him as a big part of this team, or that could be. Hasn't really lived up to it yet, but we'll see what happens with him. When you look at the Warriors, this game was a little confusing. 1 minute it looked like they was going to blow them out. 1 minute it looked like they was going to make that one run to put the Lakers away, but they always turned the ball over or missed some shots or just did something crazy. And LeBron getting that foul and some questionable calls helped the Warriors almost lose this game. But ultimately, LeBron couldn't make the free throws. Then had to miss the last one on purpose just to give him a chance to tie it or take the lead, because if they make a 3, they take the game. If they make a 2, they just tie the game because it would have been 117. But ultimately, LeBron missed 2 out of the 3, and they just ended up winning by default because they already had the lead regardless if he made the last one or missed it. They still had to score, which they didn't even have a lot of time because only 2.4 seconds. But Kuminga had a pretty good game. Coming in for Draymond Green, who's been out. They let him start 25 minutes, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 11 from the field. Got a lot of dunks, got a lot of easy opportunities. Did have 5 fouls this game, but still was giving them an energy boost. We knew he can, get to the basket. We knew he was a great athlete, and he gives them that something a little bit what they've been missing outside of Wiggins and Gary Payton, and they got that within Kuminga. Wiggins also had a quiet plus. He did show up in the big moments type of game. 19 points, defended pretty well. 5 rebounds, also had 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal. Shot decent from 3, hit a big one in the fourth quarter. Looney didn't really have the big game that he wanted, but was there, when it mattered for the most part. Even though it didn't really look that in the stat sheet, he just was a big body that, defended. And he did get 12 rebounds. So I said he was productive enough, even if he didn't score the basketball that much, even though he only had 3 points. 37 points for Steph Curry, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. Did shoot 1 of 8 from 3. Shot some random ones, some crazy ones, some forced ones, but they didn't go down. But he just kept his head up and kept being aggressive and made some shots in the fourth quarter. Some rebounds, some assists, and also ended with 24 points. Klay Thompson was a guy that put him away with the threes. They was trailing, and he hit some threes to get him back in and ultimately take the lead. And he finished with, game high 33 points. This was his biggest game to me. Not only was it against the Lakers, and they also could have lost this game because they was trailing. When the last 4 minutes was there, and Klay, made some big shots to get him back in. And he looked it pretty good. He looked it smart. He looked it cool. He looked it comfortable. But he also made the shots that he usually make. He forced it and, took some tough ones too, but ultimately made the ones that mattered the most and, pushed them over the edge to be able to beat the Lakers. So this is a good confidence builder for Clay. I don't feel like he panicked or rushed coming back, and when he came back, he started to look like the old Clay. This team still ain't fully healthy. Wiseman's still out. Draymond's still out. But this is just a good time to see guys like Steph and Clay, re-gel together, get some of that chemistry back, get some of that confidence back, get some of that fun that they used to have on the court, back. And it's just good to see them play the game, like this at home, and actually win it. And Clay be one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason why, they was able to come through and get it done. So Steph didn't have the greatest game, but it was still solid. And Clay, looked like the old Clay, again. And he played more minutes. He played 30 today. So hopefully Clay can continue to stay healthy. Hopefully he can continue to play well because they're going to need him if they want to make a deep playoff run. People been waiting and waiting and waiting for Clay to come back. Now he's actually back and he looks solid. So hopefully he can get back to that all-star form he was before he got injured and, continue to build that on so the Warriors dynasty can possibly, still continue. Other mentions was Bielitsa didn't play much, only 11 minutes, didn't have the biggest impact because of it. Otto Porter did play 24 minutes but didn't hit much shots. 1 of 5 from the field, 0 from 2 from 3. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 points. So a solid game for Porter. Not huge, but the starters pretty much took care of it. He just came in, gave him filler production, which is still necessary. Lee came in and hit 2 of 4 from 3. He shot 2 of 4 from the field goal, which means all his shots from 3. So he shot 50% from 3 and from the field. Those 6 points, did matter because it was something. And then he also did get 3 rebounds and 2 assists, 1 block and 1 steal. Gary Payton didn't have the impact that he usually have, but he also didn't play that much, only 11 minutes, and only took 1 shot. Still gave you 2 rebounds and 1 assist. So solid. And then, of course, Jordan Poole didn't have the breakout game or a crazy game, but was solid. 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, but also did get 4 assists and 11 points, which is a solid production. Not crazy, but it was solid. Other than that, a fun game, a little crazy, a little goofy, a little wild of an ending. LeBron kind of froze up in the fourth quarter when he missed those free throws. The free throws a little gimmicky and a little goofy way to end the game, but he didn't make the first one, so you already knew that. It may be over pretty quick since they was already down by 3 and he already missed one. Plus, some of the calls was a little, crazy too. But other than that, game was fun. It was solid. It was close, and we really didn't know who was going to win at one point. Didn't really like how it ended, but the right team won and got it done at the end of the day, and it was the Warriors. Most people thought the Warriors was going to win this game coming into this game, not just because they're better or because they got a better record. It's just the Lakers, haven't really been the Lakers that, they've been capable of. One is because LeBron was out, AD was out, Russ hasn't played well with LeBron, but today they didn't look as disorganized. They didn't really look frustrated with all the chaos and drama they've been going through this season. And as a team, they looked, like they was ready to play and really ready to go out there and win and put their differences aside and get it done. But they just came up short, at the end of the day. So this was a game that the Lakers defended a little well. They looked a little well, and they didn't really step on each other's toes either. So maybe this is how they should play in the future. This is probably how Russ should, approach games more. You still would like to see more out of AD, who just hasn't been, that dominant force that he once was, just 2 years ago. Remember, AD is not even 30 yet. So that's just crazy. And LeBron has been that guy that's been attacking in multiple ways, still passing, still rebounding, and just been a force. But he just hasn't been that closer. That's been LeBron knock on his whole career is he has big games. He always has the numbers, but he just haven't been able to take this Laker team home. Not just this season, but through his career. But this season, they needed LeBron to take them home a lot. He either didn't make the shot, didn't even attempt a shot, or he just didn't come through. And that just, at the end of the day, it just can't happen when you're already below 500 and you're trying to make a run to lock up one of these spots in the playoffs, which they don't have right now because they're ninth. And the best part is, even with all this losing and all this failing, they just one run away from being a playoff team. Because even with this loss, they still not even that far really at all from being the 8th spot over the Clippers. So this team is a 2, 3, 4 game winning streak away from being 500 or above, depending on what they do after that win streak. And that might be enough, this season just to be a playoff team. Just because honestly, I just don't see the Clippers, Pelicans, or the Spurs beating this team enough. Especially if they get an 8th spot, they got to get beat twice by the team underneath them to take a spot to miss it. So even with this season being miserable, terrible, and embarrassing, honestly, for the Lakers, especially with LeBron and AD now healthy, they still have a chance to just get on a small win streak or a small run, and it still might literally be enough to still make the playoffs. It's not what you wanted this season, because obviously when you made a LeBron and AD trade, you were trying to win multiple championships, not just one. But this dynasty look a little scary right now, because it may not be one. I got put out early in the first round last year, and it looks like the same thing might happen this year. But we'll see how the season ends. We'll see who's healthy. We'll see who they match up and play against. We'll see who the teams that got to beat in the play-in conversation. So it's still games and a couple more weeks to go to find out who those teams are going to be, what position teams going to be in for the playoffs, and where the Lakers can finish. Will they not make it? Will they have to fight to make it? Will they get put out in the first round? It all looks like it's the same because it's not a championship, especially it'd be embarrassing to lose any other those ways, especially 2 years after winning the championship. But it's reality now. So now the Lakers, regardless of what happens, they got to play out this season and try to figure it all out in the off season and try to put a better team around what they have with LeBron and AD, and try to win again, just with a different team and possibly, a different way. Now, just let them find out what that is as a team and organization. So, Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis signing out. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the night. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. Do y'all thing, man.